Go to getamazonnow.com and give a gift card.
Welcome to Black and White Recovery. Your hosts have been associated with recovery programs for over 50 years. This show is not associated or related to any 12-step program. The advice is strictly to be taken as advice, or it may be used for drinking games. Always consult with your sponsor, attorney, doctor, or anyone with more common sense other than Lee.
Black White Recovery.
Print the questions.
I'm Ian. That's Lee.
I'm Ian.
I know. But I don't think anybody who's listening actually knows, unless they're listening in the area. So Ian was telling us that he's going... So plug the other podcast.
Real Deal Recovery.
You know, my friend has a recovery show that I actually started for him, and he's never had me on since I started the podcast with him.
Sounds like you got a little bit of a resentment there.
Not at all. Technically, it's still my show. That's the way I will always see it. Doesn't sound like a resentment. It sounds like an ego trip. There's a huge difference. So what will the topic be while you're on this podcast?
Not resentment.
And by the way, go listen to Recovery 101. Bruce and Shelley and Mark, they do a great job. It's been on the air forever. Somewhere in the deep dark archives, I think you can find some of the crazy stuff that I wrote. I was more into heavily scripting and entertainment. They clearly wanted to talk more about recovery. I think recovery needs to lighten up. Their premise is the meeting after the meeting, which it really sounds more like the meeting, but that's what everybody's PC. It's pretty freaking ridiculous if you ask me.
People can't be PC in the rooms.
The rooms are PC, my opinion. Nobody wants to offend anybody. In the old days, there was crosstalk and violence.
Oh, there's crosstalk meetings here. You can find them.
Really? What are the odds of an actual meeting fight breaking out at meetings these days?
Depends on which women show up.
Really, it's the women?
That's the spark.
Angry women or angry men?
No. Depending on what women show up. Depending on what guy they give their attention to.
Oh, that shit.
You know.
That's really good for your first years of recovery, which probably...
Right. And there's
which brings us to our topic for today.
That's telling the other guy with time, stay away from the newcomer, not because he's worried about the other guy with time, it's because he's jealous and he wants to date her.
This is our Cadillac episode, as I like to call it. This will be the one that gets all the downloads.
Okay.
You're going to be talking about sex on this podcast you're going to be on.
Correct.
Well, we might as well do our sex episode.
Okay.
I'm going to give my point of view straight out, right from the beginning. I think that if you have no time, like literally it's your first day in, you should shack up immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm going to explain my logic behind it. If you are chasing after a piece of tail, like a ruthless madman, this is just male to female. I can't speak for women. I am not a woman, nor have I ever sponsored a woman, for that matter. I've only sponsored men when I did sponsor before they all started to commit suicide. I don't believe it's because of me, but let's just say it's an awfully horrible coincidence when it happens repeatedly.
Yeah.
Which was
kind of like me with my ex-girlfriend.
There you go. I can only give my personal experience. When I had no time, like we're talking 2 weeks, in the hospital, I started the chase after her, right?
Bit of rehab romance?
It was a rehab romance. I broke the rules.
Yes, I did.
Snuck around in the dorms.
And 11.
Yes. On the floor, in the doorway.
I liked myself, too.
Skeet. Yes.
Yeah, I liked myself. Well, I just got out of several weeks in jail. I had to take care of myself.
Of course.
Couldn't do it in front of all the guys in prison.
No. Well, yeah, you could have. It would have just...
Yeah, that wasn't that was not my... Yeah, that was not my primary purpose there.
Okay, so this podcast you're doing about sex, I'm just interested what their angle is. I think when we talk recovery, the only time we talk about sex is don't do it for the first year. Don't get involved for the first... keep it thick in your pants.
You gotta slap that guy. Please just slap him.
Yeah, well, and generally it's some old guy who hasn't gotten his dick up in a quarter century who makes that comment. At least that's my experience. The person who makes that comment, in my experience, is someone who doesn't like sex.
Or someone that doesn't want the competition in the room.
Okay, same difference. Same difference.
Okay.
I'm willing to discuss that. But the reality is this. You've taken away drugs and alcohol from me.
Right.
Okay, now I got French toast.
Sometimes satisfying.
Sometimes not, right? Pizza.
Right.
Pizza makes the list. That's an emotional filler. And then...
Toast today?
Yes, I did. By the way, and I'm doing them from least important to important. So in third place would be French toast. Second place for escapism for me these days would be a pizza. And then up at the top, not even close to the other two, down the street, it's already run the marathon and got over the finish line, is sex.
You forgot the casino.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. But I've kind of taken an edge off of that, and you know me because I'm kind of Rain Man-ish when it comes to gambling.
Yeah, you forgot Nordstrom's rack.
Okay, I'm not a shopper. I'm not. Okay, see, your list is different, and you're right. Maybe tied in second, slightly above the pizza, 1B might be Vegas. But that compiles a lot of insanity for me. Like, I get such a massive drama fix by being in Vegas, I almost don't need to do anything. The energy of the town by itself, I could just sit in a lawn chair in... I'll tell you exactly where to go. There is a Starbucks at the Golden Nugget that has an outdoor area that you can sit and drink coffee until your head explodes. And smoke cigars, do whatever, and watch the circus pass just pass in front of you.
Oh, the one by the elevators?
No, it's not by the elevators. It's down literally by their club where the little fire pit is, right in the center.
Oh, yeah.
That one. Great viewing spot. Good seating area. And I could sit and drink coffee, and the energy of the completely destitute people spraying themselves in gold paint, all the way to women with pasties on trying to take pictures for $5 and hook and tricks on the side. Like, all that energy, that's a pretty good drug to me. It's a really solid... Like, I don't need to do anything there. I just almost need to be...
Right. You can be overstimulated just by being...
Just by being there. It's enough for me, right. Yeah. It is. And then above that is sex. Okay, no doubt. I've used... Sex might be the greatest of all time. It is. It just is. There's a reason I did it when I only had 4.5 seconds sober. There's a reason why I chased it for the first year of my recovery. It's the reason why I recommend to everybody in early recovery, don't buy into that bullshit. Go chase after her, because you sure as hell won't think about drinking or using, as you're worried about her or who she's sleeping with if she's not sleeping with you. Correct. It will give you plenty to think about.
I agree with that. And I think for some, there's movies and binge watching TV.
I would like to get into binge. As I get older, I'm trying desperately hard to binge watch.
Stimulate much. I tried to watch season 1 of The Sopranos at once, and I just couldn't do it.
Now, here's the part that kills me. If I do any one of these to any excess, I have technically relapsed, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, see, you knew eventually I was going to get the answer I wanted out of this.
Well, it depends. It actually, to me, I think it depends which fellowship you're in.
If it's a 12-step if it's got a 12-step program, it should all be fairly unilateral, right?
Absolutely, but it didn't turn out that way.
As Disney would put it, isn't it called synergy? That's
why alcoholics are dying of heroin overdoses.
Right, but they only got sober so that they wouldn't drink. They were just...
but they didn't drink,
right.
So, yeah.
And as I've always said, I have yet to meet a recreational meth user. I haven't met the guy that's been able to successfully pull that off. And I've dated some sex addicts. More than once. And that's a very spooky little...
So have they.
It's a spooky road. That's a very weird, spooky little road. By the way, I'm not recommending that for anybody. You probably need 10 years sober to buckle up for that ride. That's some pretty heady shit.
Yeah, I think with all that, you just have to keep the consequences to a minimum.
That's a fair statement.
Keep it wrapped, no babies.
Why is it that sex is such a taboo, and why does it cause everybody to fucking lose their panties constantly? Like,
I don't know, because it doesn't.
It affects the dynamic of meetings. It affects the dynamics of relationships. Like, let's say that here's a common example that I'm sure that happens in your meetings. He and she dated, he and she were together, he and she might have even had a child. He and she broke up through the course of sobriety. She is now dating a different him, and he has to go to a different meeting. Like, nobody can hold their shit together. Like, wouldn't the environment create an honest and, like, some kind of weird... Shouldn't it be like a family? Like, yeah, bad shit's going to happen, but we can work through it.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah. I mean, people could look at a failed relationship in the rooms as, hey, well, we stayed sober through it.
Yeah, but
and that's
when
it.
sex gets involved in sobriety, it's more like a bad soap opera.
It's a bad soap opera before the sex. I think after the sex, it goes from like a bad soap opera to a bad Blake Edwards movie.
Is that really what it is? It's just literally trying to gnaw your arm off and trying to get away from it?
Yeah. One is too many and 1,000 is never enough.
Okay. So did they give you an outline of what you're going to be talking about sex-wise at their show?
Yeah, they send me some
What's the
stuff.
questions? I'm sure you read them and chuckled to yourself. I am intrigued by this. Perhaps they are far more...
switch locations. We will no longer be live from the Orange Couch.
Oh, disappointing.
Well, the computer's not by the Orange Couch.
Have you broken in the Orange Couch since we're talking about sex?
The Orange Couch has... it's in the Hall of Fame of broken.
It is.
Yes.
Wow. There you go, ladies.
Yes. In fact, a very good friend of mine, she wanted the Orange Couch after me and her husband broke up our partnership. And we both looked at her and said, man, you don't want that Orange Couch.
Wow.
But don't tell anybody, I got a new Orange Couch. Yeah, well, when you buy 3, you get a good deal on them.
I'm just wondering the sheer DNA level when CSI comes to scrape it down. That's always... I got to be honest. Whenever I have sex with somebody in the program, I'm just afraid that, I'm going to get a call from a cop someday going, hey, you're on their cell phone.
Well, that happens male and female. But
again, I'm not a woman, nor have I, sponsored any. I can only speak for me and my insanity.
Yeah, no, there's been a guy on the canal that had my business card in his wallet, and there were a couple of kids that I was sponsoring that went out and got themselves killed in a bad drug deal, and the only thing they really had in common was my phone number on their phone bill up until 5 days before they got killed. I almost feel
like you and I need to do an episode of debating whether or not...
And it was the same cop that came
to both of them?
To freaking question me. Yeah. And he's like, well, whatever you do. And of course, I donated a lot of clothes when I got sober because I gained 100 pounds. And, a couple guys found in this coat specially made for Ian. Full of holes.
Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah. The questions, let's see, what is your experience with applying the steps to other addictions or behaviors?
Well, we've talked about that multiple times, and specifically to sex, I've never apologized for sex.
Right.
And we've talked about it on first shows, but ladies, if you're listening, I cause relapses. I got no issue saying it. If you ain't got your shit dialed in, I got no problem dragging your ass off up to Vegas and watching that whole thing go up in flames. It is, horrible. But it when you take a new person to Vegas, what do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen?
Either they're going to hide in the hotel room all weekend.
I'm going to out every guy ever, including Ion on this. Okay, first of all, we all want to chase it. We all want to romance it, and we all want it emotionally involved in us before we tackle and knock down the wildebeest. Okay? That is the way that every guy operates, whether they want to admit it or not. The chase is what it's about. Now, the chase might only last one day,